You have a choice. You have a choice to live the life of your dreams, to be completely healed and completely healthy. It is a choice. Good morning. It's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself. And today I want to talk about victim consciousness, because this is a lot of the reason when you have chronic illness, chronic pain, chronic suffering. And I don't mean to blame. When I say victim consciousness, I mean we all have it. I have it, you have it. It's normal and natural, first, to feel like a victim, right? To feel like they did it to me. I'm like this because of this. I can't heal because of this. The universe is against me. This thing happened to me. These people are against me. The doctors are against me. Whatever it is, I can't heal because of this. And you name X, Y, and Z, and you put that in there. And you really believe like your misfortune is because of something, a situation, an experience, another person, or even God or the universe at large having something against you. And that's why you can't heal. And you often end up feeling like a victim, like poor me. And who wouldn't? So this video isn't to blame, but it's to explain and to try to help you break through victim consciousness. Because victim consciousness truly keeps us sick longer than we need to be. It keeps us, even though it feels good once in a while to feel sorry for ourselves and to feel like we're not doing anything wrong and we're doing the best we can and it's everything else that's against us. Sometimes we need to feel that way, right? It isn't helping. It's not going to push you and break you out of the cycle of chronic illness and chronic suffering and chronic pain. The victim loves to blame anything because it feels so helpless, because you feel so helpless and hopeless that you look to blame anything. And you'll start with people, situations, experiences. Then you start to say it's God's fault. It's the devil's fault, right? It's my astrological sign's fault. It's the weather's fault. It's the devil's fault. It's the story can go on and on. The victim mentality will just keep looking until it can pin itself on anything other than you. Because the victim absolves themselves of responsibility. So this is very important. This is very important to understand. You're not doing this on purpose. This isn't wrong. This is natural. But what the victim consciousness tries to do is absolve itself from its own responsibility and pin the reason why you can't heal, why you can't get better, why you can't do it on something else, and something often so untangible and so bigger and vaster and invisible than you could ever compete with. Like when we say it's God's fault, well, where do you go from there, right? When we pin it on something or somebody else, like that situation, then we have nowhere else to go from there. We fall into the victim. It's an easy, comfortable place to live, but it is not going to help you. So if you resonate with this, just take a minute, take a deep breath, and we're going to talk about how we get through this and past this. Okay, so every victim has a victim story, right? Everybody who's chronically ill or in chronic symptoms or chronic pain, chronic struggle, right? Whatever your symptoms are here, and I'm talking to you, you have a victim story. I'm sure you do. This happened to me because of my mother. This happened to me because of the doctors. This happened to me because of life. Whatever your story is, this happened to you. Okay? And sometimes, yeah, we're victims. I know. Sometimes people get molested or raped, and I'm not saying that they're not victims. So this isn't saying that you're not a victim. I'm just pointing out that you have a victim story. Victims have a victim story. They can tell it in great detail. They can blame and put whatever happened onto the outside world in story form. So if you have your own victim story, just stop for a minute here and think about it. Think about your victim story. What is your victim story around this pain, around the suffering, around this chronic illness. So sometimes we get stuck here. Legitimately, we get stuck here because maybe even whatever happened to us was so real. We truly feel like we were victims. And we get really stuck in this story through no fault of our own. But it's the repetition that you keep telling yourself this story, this victim story, that keeps you a victim. Because you're not a victim anymore. What happened to you is done. It's over. And there truly is no force that is against you right now or holding you back. That's only perceived. And so the question becomes, on a deeper level, when you're meditating or when you're doing your journaling or when you're doing your self-awareness practices, the question needs to become, why won't I let this victim story go? Why am I holding on to it with all my might? Why am I holding it so tight? Why can't I let it go? What am I afraid of if I let it go? Right? Why won't I? And often this is where we get stuck because we don't want to let it go, right? Are we afraid of forgiving? Are we afraid of letting someone off the hook? Are we afraid of, if we let it go, then we'll have to move forward? Then we'll lose our excuses? We'll lose our ability to stay still or small or stuck? Then we won't have anything to draw people close to us anymore. We won't have a way to get validation or connection with other people. What are we holding on to this story? And this is an important question, and it doesn't maybe come in the snap of a fingers. It might come, through days and weeks, even months of meditation, of thinking of this question, of really trying to understand and untangle why you're holding on to it, what it is you're afraid of, what letting go of that story, of the past, of the victim story, how it's keeping you safe and what you're getting from it, and why you're afraid to let it go, what it means if you drop it. What does that mean for you, right? What bad does that mean for you? That you have to now step up, that you can no longer use it as an excuse, that you can't bow out gracefully, that you no longer can feel sorry for yourself, that you lose love or connection or pity, or that you feel like you're letting somebody off the hook that you absolutely don't ever want to let off, and you have to forgive and you can't. I mean, really, truly ask yourself. This is such an important key question, and it can only be done when you sit, when you walk, when you're in silent reflection. And you really have to go deep with this because there's a reason. There's a reason, and you're stuck. So when we're stuck, when we're in this place of stuckness and we don't know what to do to move forward, to let this go, we just need to sit and really feel in our gut, open to God, whatever you believe, the universe. We need to send up a signal like help me, but not in a desperate way, in like a way that I'm now open to doing something new, to doing something different, to saying something different to myself, to being different, to choosing different, to having a different perception of this story, to letting this story go. I'm willing and open, even though I'm afraid. I'm willing to let go of that story, of that identity, and to not be a victim anymore. And I need your help. That's what we're asking for when we say help. I need your help to notice that I'm more than that, to recognize that I'm not stuck, that I can be open, and to send me signs, to send me guidance, to let me start to open to new thoughts and feelings and experiences, right? So this is almost like a prayer to God, to the universe, just in the fact that it's like a help prayer, like a I surrender prayer. I give up. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to be different. I'm ready to be myself again. right? I'm ready to set this down, right? So please show me how. This is kind of what needs to happen when you're stuck. You need to open to true change. Okay, so this is really important, what I'm about to say. So if you spend your time complaining and talking about your symptoms and thinking about your symptoms and obsessing on them, complaining, talking about them, whatever it is, more than you spend your time visualizing what it is that you want in this life, where you're going, your healed body, your healed life, your goals, your dreams. If you're complaining more than you are visualizing what's next, then you are not going to heal. Hear me, okay? This isn't your fault, but this is important. We get back what's reflected out and what's reflected internally. So if we are talking about our victim story, complaining about our symptoms, thinking about them, all we see is the negative. All we see is what's holding us back. All we see is the reasons, the excuses, the poor me, the this happened, the I can't get over it, I'm not strong enough, I don't know what to do, I can't stop thinking about this, if my life was only different, right? If we are stuck complaining and obsessing and thinking about this more than we are visualizing our future, what we're gonna do, our goals, our dreams, who we really are, where we're going in this life, then we're stuck. We're not gonna heal. We're living out that which we obsess. Now I know it's hard. So here's what we can do about this. Okay, so you have energy to focus and think and be throughout the day. And it's where you put your energy and your focus. So if we're focusing on what are our abilities in this situation now? Okay, maybe we can't envision this dream life right now because of, how badly it feels, but we can focus on what's right about this moment, what we have to be grateful for in this moment, and what our abilities are in this moment to get that life, to go in the right direction, to take a step forward. We always have a choice to take a step forward, no matter how bad it is at that moment. What are our abilities? What can we do? What can we take responsibility for right now? What can soothe us? What can help us? How can we show more compassion or love or kindness to ourselves? Right? What can we do right now in this moment to show ourselves self-love? What are our abilities to move even, like if we see a mountain in front of us, what are our abilities right now to move one brick? Okay, we may not be able to crash down that whole mountain, but think of your abilities, the goodness, the things that you have that you can focus on that can move just one brick, rather than all the bricks that are there that are keeping you from getting through that mountain or over that mountain, right? That's the difference here, is we're not focusing on the 10,000 bricks in front of us and all the reasons, valid or not valid, on why we'll never be able to get through it, get over it. And yet we're picking up one brick and we're focusing all our energy and all our attention and all our resources on why it's possible for us to move just one, and how it's possible that if we can move one, we can move 10,000. Maybe not today, but we focus on what we can do, on our ability in front of us. So this is what they mean by positive thinking. It's not think positive and pretend that that mountain isn't there and pretend that nothing else bad has ever happened, right? And that you're not in a terrible situation. But if we spend our time feeling victimized that we are in that situation, rather than getting on with it and focusing on our true abilities, what lies deep within us to be able to pick up one brick or maybe even two, right? That's where our power lies, right there. So that is where your power is. Because here's the truth. We can spiral easily down. down those emotions of fear and guilt and shame and sadness and anger and depression, and we can really feel like a victim because it feels insurmountable maybe, and it feels overwhelming, and it feels like we've tried everything, and we feel sorry for ourselves. And why shouldn't we? Right? And you should. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel sorry for yourself, but if we stay there, then we spiral into this place that is almost like quicksand. It's very hard to get out of. It's very easy to grasp, to pull you and to keep you stuck. It's very, very hard. But so if we're in that spot and we focus on possibilities, we focus on the what if this is possible to move this mountain? What if I can do this? What if the universe isn't conspiring against me, but it's conspiring for me? What if I can't see the reasons now, but it's all working out for me? What are the possibilities? What if I was totally healed? How would I live my life? What would I do? What is my value in this world? What do I have to give? What am I here for? And we use the power of that to move us forward and to not sink. Because when we sink quickly, we get into quicksand, right? So we don't want to get into the quicksand. It's very hard to get out of the quicksand. And if you're in the quicksand right now, it doesn't mean you can't get out of it. Just start moving brick by brick by brick, okay? Just keep the possibilities alive. The what if questions. What if this is going to work out? What if everything's going to be okay? What if I'm the one who's going to have the success story that's amazing beyond compare to anyone else? What will I do with that? And how can I use that energy right now to push me forward? I've been there so many times. I've been in the depths and the quicksand of suffering and blackness and darkness everywhere with no seemingly way out. And I want to tell you that if you're there, don't worry that you're surrounded by darkness and pain, because if you're still here, there's hope. Okay, somebody, I don't know who it was, but there's a quote that I love, and it says something like this: pain pushes you until a bigger vision pulls you forward. So pain pushes you forward until a much larger vision starts to pull you forward. And that's where we're trying to get to. Right now you're in the pain, and sometimes we need to let that pain surround us and push us forward, because sometimes there's no other way to get out of the darkness. I understand that. And so we use that pain as fuel to move the brick or to get forward, and we don't have a way to grasp or see any kind of vision ahead of us. No goodness. We only see black, but we need to try to get there. This is where we're going, just so you know. We're going from pain to vision, because once we visualize, once we start to move towards what we want, then we can get what we want. Sometimes I understand we're in such blackness, such darkness, such despair and suffering that we can't see the larger vision. We can't even begin to believe that it's there. So we use the pain for as long as we need to push us forward until we can get glimpses of visions that we have for our future life, right? And what that could look like and how we can start to get there. So sometimes when you're sitting with your pain, you need to ask yourself better questions instead of wallowing in the pain. And I'm not saying it's not painful and you don't have a right to wallow. I'm saying ask yourself better questions, right? What qualities do I need to move forward? Right? What quality am I missing right now to take a step, to move, to see light anywhere coming through? If I was going to be stuck here in this dark place forever with no way out, what could I do? If I was a character in a movie right now, who is at the bottom, what would I be yelling at the screen for them to do or think or say. If this was my child in this moment, right here, wondering whether to live or die, that's how black it is. What would I say to them? What would I tell them to hold on to or do or think in this moment that helps them hold on and see something better ahead? Right? If I was God talking to me right now, or my parents, or someone you love, what would you say? What would you have them say? We need to ask ourselves better questions in this moment, because what we're really trying to do is we're trying to get out of the suffering and the quicksand and the mud to living our vision and our dream life. And there's a disconnect in between. Sometimes we can't even take the steps to get there. I know, I understand, I've been there. So if you're there, just let pain push you. Let it push you until your vision can start to pull you. And that's where we're getting to. We're trying to let this vision pull us forward into our new life, right? Because pain will never get us there. Pain can only push us so far. And maybe that's where you're at. If you're chronically ill, if you've got chronic symptoms, chronic conditions, chronic pain, chronic suffering, it means pain has pushed you as far as you can go. And it can't push you anymore. You're there. Just think of it as a continuum. It's on a track. And pain can push you a certain distance of the way. And at some point, you've got to let go of the pain. You've got to be willing to open up and become something new, to let go of the past, to let go of the pain, to let go of everything that fueled you forward to this point. And it's scary because you think, that's gotten me here, that's kept me alive. I can't abandon that story or that pain or that fuel that's pushed me to here. But pain can only take you. It can only push you so far down the track before you have to be brave enough and courageous enough to let the pain go, to say goodbye to it, to let it vanish. And you're feeling unsure, you're feeling scared, you're feeling, what if I let this pain go and I just fall right off the track, you know? Don't hold your pain with you because you think it's the only thing that can get you there. Be brave enough to let go of that story, to let go of that victimhood, to let go of everything that's gotten you to this point, right? To survive to now. Be brave enough to let go and grab onto the vision in front of you. And it will pull you. It just hold on. Hold tight to it. And some days you'll feel like you're slipping and you don't have enough strength to hold it. Pain might be right behind you to give you a tiny nudge. And then you hold back on to the vision. Okay, but you can't continue to do that push-pull. Vision, pain pushes. I hold on to the vision, I let it go. Pain pushes me forward. This is where you get stuck. You've got to just say at one point, goodbye to the pain behind you once and for all. Hold tight to the vision and let it pull you all the way up around the corner so that you lose sight of that past and that pain. And now all you've got is your vision ahead of you. And it will start to pull you as you take inches closer to who you really want to be and who you are deep inside. So this is how it works at a mechanical level. The problem is, the biggest problem with this whole thing that I've just explained is that often people's visions aren't big enough, right? The vision has to, there's no exceptions to this rule, be bigger than the pain in order for this to work. Okay, so the potential that you have, the qualities that you need, the vision of your life and the purpose for it. So you can just say, oh, I want to be this, that, and the other. You have this vision, but no, the purpose, the potential for it, the reason for it, the mark that you're going to leave on this world, the vision for what you want has to be bigger. It has to be bigger than the pain. The problem is that your pain is so big. It's been so built up. It's taking so much space all through your body, all through your mind. It's huge. It's blown up. And the vision has to be bigger than that. The reasons, your potential, your destiny, right? the reason, right? The mark that you intend to leave on the world, the reason why this vision has to be attained, the potential for you to grow and be better has to be more, and it has to be larger than that pain. It always has to be. So if your pain is pushing you forward, it's never going to stop unless your potential and your dream and your vision and your reason becomes bigger, right? And it can never become bigger unless we start to focus on it, grow it, expand it, think about it, really live and breathe and find those reasons and those magnificent parts of ourselves and start to polish them off. Because until that vision is bigger than the pain, it can't pull us forward, right? It has to be bigger in order to pull us. It's pulling us up a hill, right? So this little vision cannot pull you up a hill if the pain is massive and it's trying to pull you back down and suck you into quicksand. It needs to be bigger. So we need to make this vision large, huge, as large as the sky, envelop us all over this, all over everything. So I know when you're suffering, how do you do that? So listen, I know, I understand, I've been there. You wake up as soon as you open your eyes and all you feel is suffering, right? The pain, the physical pain, everything sets into your body. And it's so easy to fall into the quicksand and to say, oh my God, my symptoms, it's gonna be a bad day. Like I can feel it, it hurts, why me? How long is this gonna go on? It's easy, it's natural. Forgive yourself. There's nothing wrong with you. That these are your first thoughts. These are human thoughts, okay? But we need to be bigger than that. We need to be bigger than human if we're gonna go towards our vision. So when we open our eyes, no matter what we feel, we need to already be saying, how can I walk today towards my future? What can I do today to walk towards that life that I want, to focus on what I need, what I want, my reasons for getting there? How can I take a step closer to my future, right? How can I break free just a little bit from these chains that are binding me and holding me and calling all my attention to them? So as soon as you open your eyes, when you get to the point that your vision is stronger and like it's powerful enough to take your attention and hold it so that you take steps forward towards it, that's when you know you're on the path to heal it. So that's what we're striving for, and we're not able to do it sometimes. But as soon as you can do it, and as soon as you realize this is what's happening, you know you're on the path to freedom. You know you're on the path to growing that vision so strongly that you wake up and all you see is the vision. It's pulling you. It's your reason when you get out of bed, for getting out of bed. So this is where manifestation comes in. This is where the law of attraction comes in. This is where this is not disowning and denying and rejecting our feelings. This is not, it's very hard sometimes, I think, because child work and inner work and emotional work and fragmentation work and all this work sometimes feel like it goes against the law of attraction, because it is like validating all our feelings inside and piecing us back together. Whereas law of attraction says don't focus on it at all, focus on your vision. But this is what I mean by that, is like the vision has to be so strong that we can begin to manifest something new in our life. That doesn't mean that we don't deny and disown our own selves, our own needs, our own feelings, and push down things that need to come to the surface. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about when we let ourselves sink in the pity of victimhood into quicksand, rather than let us be pulled by vision that takes a lot of manifestation, right? And a lot of law of attraction work. Like some of the greats like Joe Dispenza and Bob Proctor and Michael Beckworth and these types of people talk about, this is what they talk about, right? They talk about the law of attraction. And that doesn't never mean, I would never ever put that above feeling our own feelings and being okay and letting them rise as they need to. This is not about emotions at all. This is about thoughts. This is about thoughts. Where are we going to put our attention when it's random thoughts? right? Thoughts that are keeping us stuck or thoughts that are moving us forward. And we all need a bigger vision to pull us forward, because it's not until we get out of bed in the morning and we have that vision that is so great and so powerful and so meaningful in our life, that it's strong enough to pull us in the direction of who we truly are and what our true potential for this world and this earth. And that's how we get out of a chronic condition. Because remember, we're in a chronic condition because we're in a chronic pattern that doesn't allow us, that only allows this negative. So at one point in my journey, early on, most of this was side effects from the actual medication I was given, and a lot of the deep, this was when I was deep, right? When my whole body had fallen apart and my central nervous system had completely crashed, and I had over 200 symptoms and they were life-threatening. But at this point in my journey, I saw death everywhere. I could only see death and darkness. I could only see the devil. I could feel the devil. I could see only blackness and darkness and death everywhere. Every time I looked in the mirror, my face looked like death. Now I did look like death because I was dying at the time. However, I saw my mother's death face when I looked in the mirror. I saw my grandfather, on his deathbed when I looked in the mirror. I saw all my dreams were death dreams. Probably 2 to 3 years of dreams every night that were about death. Everything was death and destruction. And at one point, I realized I've got to stop thinking of death everywhere I look. Everything was death and black and dark. And I remember one day I was out for a walk. And I said, this walk is going to be different today. I'm going to look around me and I'm going to try hard to see something different, to see the opposite. I'm going to try to see life. And I was amazed. Once I made the decision to see life, I looked and there was a bud, a flower. It was purple. I don't know what kind it was. And I just started to sob because there it was, a flower coming out through the ground, a small bud. It was life. And then as soon as I recognized that as life, I looked around and there was kids playing, life, moving cars, people walking by. It was life. It was like I suddenly took the filter off and I could actually see something different. Life, it was there the whole time, but I didn't see it because all I could see was the death that was around me, the things that were dying. But death and life are all mixed together everywhere. You see the sprout of an old tree mixed with an old dying branches, that have no more leaves on them. You see this everywhere. You see signs of old people with diseases walking with canes, and then you see visions of new babies and being held and laughter. And it's everywhere, and it's where we chose to put our attention. My whole world until that breakthrough was death. That's all I saw. And at that moment I realized that I could choose. I could tell my mind to see something different. And once I did, the possibilities were endless. I made like a game out of it, like how much life can I see today? Where do I see the life? And then suddenly, not overnight, not over weeks, not even over months, but seeing that life every day started to pull me towards life and away from death. And suddenly, at some point, I started to have dreams that weren't about death. I started to have some just normal dreams, things that were normal again. I started to look around. I could laugh at something. I could smile. I could see the beauty in something again. And so I don't tell you this I tell you this, it's our perception and it's what we choose to see. And sometimes, even though I needed to acknowledge the parts that were dying inside me and feel those feelings, I also needed to give myself permission to see something new, to have a new vision, to start to see and be pulled towards life. Because as long as I couldn't see it, I couldn't be pulled by it. So this is just a little tidbit from some of the darkest points of my journey. But yeah, it's very important. It's very important that we start to visualize, to manifest, to be more than we are right now. I'm sorry this video is so long, but this is just very important to understand. Okay, so we have anger and sadness and shame and guilt and loneliness and all these feelings inside us that literally keep us sick if we don't feel them and allow them to be acknowledged and rise to the top. So it's important that we don't shove them down and pretend they didn't happen and pretend they're not real. We need to acknowledge this. We need to soothe and love that inner child who couldn't express those feelings, those fears, and everything they went through at the time that they went through. We need those feelings to still be acknowledged and witnessed and heard and loved and soothed. And your inner child needs to know that you're there for it, no matter what it feels, how much sadness it is, that it's not too great for you to bear. So here's the thing. You need to do that work. You need to feel those feelings. You need to acknowledge them. You need to let it out. You need to cry. You need to journal. You need to scream. You need to unburden your body because it's trapped there. But once it comes out, once you've cried, once you've felt, we don't stay there. We don't want to stay there. We end our session with love and compassion. We end ourselves with how can we now look and see the opposite of that? Because from whatever sadness there is, there's also a happy part of you waiting, longing to get out from this shameful part of you that needed to be heard and acknowledged. There's another side of that, and that's a proud. You feel proud of yourself. You feel true and authentic, and you feel good about who you are. So there's these opposite parts of you, right? There's a part that is so grief-stricken and sad over what they've lost, and there's another part of you that's literally excited about its future and where it can go and the new possibilities, right? And the possibility of new love and life emerging. So at the end, when we feel, then we take a look at the opposites and we say, how can I go towards this? The opposite of that feeling that you're stuck in. So it's not that we push that feeling away or that we don't acknowledge it or that we tell it that it's somehow bad or wrong to be there, because it's as right as anything. We listen to it, we feel it, we acknowledge it, we sit with it as long as it takes. But then we don't allow that to be the whole story. At this point, we need to look to the opposite emotion, right? Because there's always a pendulum, and the opposite emotions are not getting their say. It is time for them to have their say. What happiness do you see that you want in your life? Don't be afraid now to claim it, to look at it, to allow that piece in. There's always opposite ends to each emotion. And when you focus so deeply in one area, we never allow the other side to feel heard either. And we need to look. That's the visioning. We see you, we hear you, we nurture you, we accept you, we love you. We're unconditionally there for you, for these emotions. We won't abandon them. But we're going to remind them that they also have these peace and love and joy and excitement and gratitude and pride and happiness and success. And you have all these other parts of yourself that it's okay to feel too, and it's okay to go towards something. It's okay to heal one part of you and allow the other part in. You have to let these parts be almost in a marriage together, right? That's, if you haven't seen my videos on fragmentation, now's a good time to pause and go back and watch the videos on fragmentation. This is how we integrate the two parts of ourselves and we become whole again. We put our broken self back together. But if we only stay in the broken and we wallow, like if we hear and acknowledge and see our broken side and we sit with it, but we just stay with it and we never push it. Like a parent will sit with their child unconditionally in love and let that child feel scared or cry. Eventually the parent's going to say to the child some soothing things and to like look towards the good points and look towards the future, and they're going to help that child eventually take their hand and walk out of the room and start to play back with their friends again or to come back out in the world. And that's what you need to do for yourself. That's what visioning is, right? So they don't really People often think, well, I can't do one and the other. They're opposite. They contradict each other. They don't. They complement each other. Okay, you can't do one without the other. You can't ignore the true emotions and feelings that you have inside, deny or disown them or push them away. You'll never heal. But you can't not go towards something better, greater, your full potential, the drive, the good parts of you, the parts that you want, the parts that have been neglected, the fun, the successful, the joy, the parts. Those parts are important too, and we need to nourish them. That's the only way that we can pull ourselves, right? Pain will push us until our vision pulls us, and we want that vision to come. So you can't not have both sides. Okay, what it comes down to is self-love. Self-love, that's the thing. We need to love all the parts of us. All the sadnesses, all the hurts, all the pains, all the sorrows, all the crazy feelings, all those good feelings that we feel about ourselves. We need to love every part of us, to forgive ourselves, to accept ourselves fully and completely, and to know that we're good, we're worth it, we're worthy, we have a bright future. We need to be, once we can forgive and love ourselves and be with ourselves and acknowledge all the parts of ourselves and love them, we start to become love. We start to vibrate at the core of love, instead of what we're doing when we're always looking at the self, like the sadness and the grief and the guilt and the shame and all of that. We still haven't loved ourselves. We're actually sitting in self-hate of ourselves, of unforgiveness, of unacceptance. And it's that vibration that keeps us stuck in those low vibrations, that keeps us from moving forward. But once we can love our new vision, who we are, who we want to become, what we see for our life, once we can love ourselves in the moment, all the pain, all the suffering, everything we've been through, we see the goodness of ourselves. We accept ourselves. We fully and unconditionally forgive ourselves and show ourselves compassion and love. Then in that moment, we can begin to love others. Once we love ourselves, we start to vibrate at this frequency of love, and that's how we can attract the goodness and the love into our life, and we can start to go towards that vision, be pulled by that vision, because we're at the frequency, like we're vibrating at a different frequency. It's like of love. It's not acknowledging all those bad feelings inside us or sitting with the negativity. It's like loving ourselves through it. It's like accepting ourselves, realizing we're never going to abandon ourselves, realizing we believe in ourselves. We're just a self-approving and self-loving and unconditionally being there. Once you have that for yourself, you have no choice but to go towards your vision, because that's who you are. You begin to love yourself, you begin to love others, you begin to love life, you begin to start to dream and allow yourself happiness and joy in these things that you've been denying. You start to create a future that you want, that radiates at that sort of core vibration of love, and then you're pulled towards it, goals and the lifestyle that you want, and your dreams and your vision. But really all you want is love, right? That's the top, right? When you can love yourself and love your life. Okay, so you have to be able to love yourself and love your life even when you're in the most amount of suffering and pain. And I know that's hard to do, but that's what we're trying to accomplish here. It truly is all about getting out of the victimhood, which is usually being in self-hate, self-denial, right? Feelings of shame and inadequacy. We're not truly loving ourselves when we're at those vibrations. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish here. It's the victim mentality is usually very low vibrations. It's fueled with shame and fear, which are very, very low frequencies. And what we want to do is to be able to sit with them with self-love and acceptance and hope for the future. And then you know you're on your way to healing. So when I say that this video is about getting out of self-victimhood. I don't mean you don't have a right to feel those feelings of sadness or grief or guilt, but I mean you need to love yourself through that so that you can see the goodness that you have and you can go towards the life that you want, that we don't get stuck to stay there forever. That will keep you there, okay? So I know this video has been long. I hope it's been helpful. It's from the bottom of my heart to yours. I hope you'll watch it again. I know it's long, but please watch it again. Really take it in and understand what you need to do to heal. It's in this video. It's here. The information that you're looking for is here. And if you use it properly, you will start to notice that you move towards healing. You move towards healing when you move towards self-love and when you allow that vision to pull you forward. So I'll see you in the next video. Remember, you have a choice. You have a choice. You have a choice to be completely healed and to live the life of your dreams. It's a choice, and I hope you start to make the choice today.